And welcome in to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire. The boys are back in town, and we're happy to be here getting ready for another football season. It's not really football season right now, but everybody wants it to be football season. So we thought we'd give you a little taste, a little something here to tide you over until the 2026 football season. And we got most of the boys back. We got the boss man over there, Jared Schatz, voice of the Germantown Mavericks. Jared, you don't look like you're in an Environment Master studio. Where are you at?
Oh, I'm in the biggest Environment Master studio, man. Buffalo Wild Wings here in Oxford, Mississippi. So good to be with you boys. Look, I love to see your ugly faces. That means football's right here, baby. It's not far.
I'm glad somebody's happy to see this face, and a face that we're always happy to see, and that's Brandon Davis, voice of the Warren Central Vikings. Got the tie rocking, Davis. Yeah. Glad to see you.
Hey, did you get an invite to Buffalo Wild Wings in Oxford? I didn't, Breck. I'm just wondering. I'm in Vicksburg.
Okay.
Like fair enough.
Like. By the way, I'm going to be in Oxford. If you like, one of those kind of things, you know.
Oh yeah, I get it. Just good to be here, gents.
So today, you've seen it all over social media. You know what we're doing. We're counting down the top 10 high school football coaches in Mississippi of all time. So, yeah, we're not going to waste any time. We're just going to jump right into it and get ready to roll. But first up, we do want to tell you about C Spire. With C Spire, you've got all the technology you need for connected living, fiber fast home internet, ultra secure Wi-Fi, and nationwide 5G wireless you can count on. You can see more at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. So there, we told you, top 10 Mississippi high school football coaches of all time in partnership with Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic. And here we go. If you really want to know, you want to get right down to it, how did we come up with this? This is not like our just personal. We didn't just write down who we wanted and then pick it out of a hat. We didn't do that. There is a formula to this, and you can kind of see it on your screen right there. WCS. It's not Winona. That's not Winona Christian School. That's what I know it as. That's weighted coach score. And so it's not just total wins. Jared, you know a little bit more about this process than I do.
Yeah, I mean, we just took a formula, man, and you know, Jake Wimberly did a great job of, you know, he's our wizard, as we call him, with numbers. And, you know, you can see the scoring right there. You got 1 point for career wins. Look, we're already going to make some people mad, and it's only June. Here we go. We did credit the MHSA with more points for a state championship. And we did give the MAIS credit. Obviously, a championship's a championship, but we only weighted it because it's going to be a combination of MAIS coaches and MHSA. We gave the MAIS coaches 10 points. Look, the MAIS has definitely turned the page the last 5 to 10, 20 years in their division, but it has definitely changed, here recently. So we did handicap them just a little bit. I'm not saying for now, but really in the past. They have really been a very competitive league, especially the last few years. So that's what you're seeing on the scoring. We gave a dynasty bonus if a coach had it's really two things. If he had done something at one school where he had won multiple championships, and also where maybe he was able to win championships at multiple schools. So you saw the scoring there. It's weighted. We stuck it in a hopper. And then basically it just came out with the results that it did. They did get penalized for negative 25 points for a losing season. They got 2 points for conference title, and then winning percentage bonus. They got 100 points for that, and 3 points for each district/region title. So that's the scoring. That's what we came up with. And don't forget 10-win seasons, man. I really think that's one of the most important stats here as far as the category and how this was all figured, is how many 10-win seasons, man, because there hasn't always been that many games, and you have to make a good run to equal those 10-win seasons. So we gave a bonus for that. Now, it was calculated a little differently. If you got that in the MHSA, you got 5 points, and the MAIS was 2. So look, there's going to be somebody upset about this, but that's how we handicap this. We'll see what the results show us.
Yeah, and one thing else to mention, Jared, is that for a while there, you had a stretch where you didn't have a state champion that was crowned. Like, 60s and 70s, you really it was kind of like college football. The AP, the papers would name the number one team in the state, and then so you were the champ. So we kind of had that. So you can't punish a coach that maybe coached in the 60s and 70s, and he didn't get to. That's something to kind of think about as well. But we'll roll right along and keep it going. And let's see. Up first, how about this? Number 10, Mike Justice. All-time record 255, 91, and 2. He coached for 29 years at Gulfport, Madison Central, Louisville, Calhoun City, and Caledonia. 3 state championships, 17 district titles, 26 winning seasons, just 2 losing seasons, and 21 playoff appearances. Jared, you're a Madison Central guy. I bet you can tell us a little bit about Coach Justice.
Yeah, grew up watching Coach Justice's teams from the stands, and man, I think he played football, or coached football, I should say, the way it's supposed to be played, and that's tough, rugged, just a physical brand of football. You knew what you were going to have up against you when you played Madison Central on Friday night. 3 titles, 2 at Louisville, 1 at Madison Central. Just you look at Justice, and he never wavered, man. It was a very physical brand of football. And, you talk about his Louisville teams, but look what he did at Madison Central and taking 2 smaller schools, one that was pretty good, one that was not so much, and making them into a juggernaut. And I would say, we talked about this in our greatest programs of all time last year. Really, man, just started a program that has been the model of consistency in the state. Only 1 losing season since he started that monster back in the early 90s. And, hey, look, that 99 team, man, I mean, that's one of the greatest of all times with those 5 NFL players. Coach Justice, definitely one of those Mississippi legends to start off this list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Davis, you got anything to add on Mike Justice?
Yeah, the godfather of Madison Central football. He was the first coach in 1991. Surprisingly enough, 8-3 his first year. They didn't make the playoff shot, so that must have been a heck of a region. But as you talked about that 99 team, a lot of people talk about that national title team at South Panola, but I'll rival that Madison Central team was just as dominant as what that was the South Panola before there was the South Panola, I guess you would say. But Coach Justice, I mean, Ben Ingram gives an awesome impersonation of him. If you're ever around Ben Ingram, please ask him to do that for you. It is hilarious. But a lot of respect for Coach Justice and what he did. Very successful everywhere that he has been, even at Caledonia. Caledonia back in 77, he was 5-5, and that doesn't seem significant, but 500 at Caledonia back in the 70s, pretty significant. But yeah, I can't think of a better way to start this list than Coach Justice.
Yeah, I agree, Brandon, as Breck is taking a little bit of a break from us. But looking at these numbers, Mike Justice, 17 district titles in his coaching career. That is second on this top 10 list amongst the MHSA coaches.
Yeah, and again, most of it being at Madison Central. And like I said, he was 59-15 for 6 years at Louisville. He goes and he starts a program. That's the thing, is that he came in and started a program at Madison Central in 91 when they merged 2 schools. Any coach out there would tell you that started a program, when you're bringing 2 groups in like that, getting the buy-in and getting people to believe in it has to be difficult. He was able to do that. And the model of consistency from 91 to 2001 around the state, people knew Madison Central. They were the epitome of one of the top teams in the metro area. And then he goes down to Gulfport. Gulfport was a tough place to be back in 2008, even into 2012. Over the 5 years, he had a 36-22 record. I mean, so everywhere this man has been, he has won, and very deserving to be on this list in the top 10.
Yeah, hopefully we're back rolling here. A little technical difficulties on the stream, which is, as is wont to happen when it's a first time back. But we want to remind you that we are built by Cherokee Brick, the Varsity Voices podcast. Every week when we're back in the fall, we're going to be built by Cherokee Brick. Up next on the rankings, how about Teddy Dice? He's one of the guys still coaching in this league. With Lumberton, Philadelphia, McGee, Ridgeland, Clinton Christian, and at East Rankin Academy from 2001 to 2026. As I said, still coaching, all-time record 236 and 67, 3 state titles, 10 district championships. He's got 23 winning seasons. And how about a goose egg? Zero losing seasons, 22 playoff appearances, and a playoff record of 36-19. And guys, I think a lot of us, maybe when we saw this, Coach Dice come up, we might have been a little shocked. I know I was about not that he's there, he's a great coach, but the 0 losing seasons. Jared.
I mean, you just nailed it, man. This is going to be the one that everybody looks at and says, wow. And we knew Coach Dice was a fantastic football coach, but I honestly I couldn't believe it. And then I saw the numbers. I said, wow, this is an incredible resume, an incredible career. This is one of those that everybody's going to say, I really was surprised at how good it was, because he's done it the right way. He's done it in a very quiet manner where they just go out and take care of business. And you look at his numbers, championships at Lumberton, McGee. He's just one of 2 coaches, guys, one of 2 on this top 10 list that does not have a losing season. And talking to Brandon, we were laughing because it's not like he's trying to protect that. He's gone to some schools in the MAIS here lately that they're not traditional powers, and it's nothing against those kids. And I love you kids out in East Rankin and that community in Pelahatchie. Heck, I could move there tomorrow if it were up to me. But that's a program that's used to winning in basketball. And for him to take that job on and win 6 games last year, Coach Dice is not scared of a challenge, and you can see that in his resume. He just wins everywhere he goes.
Yeah, Davis, so your thoughts on Coach Dice?
I'm tickled to see him on the list. Teddy's a dear friend, and just I don't want to sound biased when I talk about him, but a very humble individual, and he kind of flies under the radar at everything that he does. I was talking to him last year about his East Rankin team, and he thought they were going to struggle, not because of the kids, but more because of him being a humble person. Is he going to be able to lead this team? And he does everywhere that he goes. If you look back, Lumberton, he won a state title, 2 state titles down at Lumberton. Then he goes to Philadelphia and really put them on the map. Philadelphia was awesome. There was a couple of probably 2 or 3 teams at Philadelphia that should have won a state title that came very close, and then goes to McGee, wins the state title back in 2020, and then kind of transitions out a little bit. He goes to Ridgeland. He was 13-9 at Ridgeland, had a good run there for 2 years. And this is where it kind of surprised me. I guess he retired from public schools, and he goes to 2 difficult jobs. I believe they're difficult. Clinton Christian, okay? He goes there and he's 6-5 in his first year. And then he goes to East Rankin, and he was 6-5 in his first year there. It's because of the number of kids that he has to work with. It has nothing to do with the kids themselves. It's the number of talent and the kids that he has to work with, but he somehow, some way knows how to get the best out of those kids. Just a phenomenal person as it is. A huge wrestling fan, Breck, by the way. He and I are going to start a wrestling promotion one day. So, yeah, Teddy Dice, remember that name. But I'm very proud for Teddy. Like I said, I got to know him. I was working sideline on his first state title game, and just a good old boy. And like I said, he's a ball coach. He is the epitome of a ball coach, and he deserves to be on this list. I really believe that.
Yeah, I got to know Coach Dice when he coached at Philadelphia. That's not too far away from me here in Kosciuszko, and our radio station, we used to have a studio over in Philadelphia on the square. So we were doing a summertime countdown to kickoff, and I got Coach Dice to come in that studio and do a recording over there for a countdown to kickoff interview. But yeah, really solid guy, and glad to see him here on this list coming in at number 9. Well, let's keep it rolling. But before we do, we'll tell you about one of our partners, Genuine Mississippi. Fine products grown, raised, and made right here in Mississippi with Genuine Mississippi from the Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce. And I would ask Brandon Davis to do that Genuine Mississippi jingle that we had, but we want people to keep watching. So
we want to keep people around.
Do this. So here we go. We'll stay right up here. We were just talking about Philadelphia. Won't go too far away. So up here in my neck of the woods, Joe Gant, or if you know the whole name, Joe Lynn Gant. The one around here calls him Lynn Gant. It's Joe Lynn Gant, longtime coach at Louisville and Ware. Talk about just having the resume. Louisville and Ware. I mean, those are the 2 powers here in the state. All-time record 237-61. He had 5 state championships, 14 district titles, 23 winning seasons, 13 10-win seasons, as we talked about how those would be weighted. In just 2 losing seasons, 17 playoff appearances, and a playoff record of 33-12. And this guy, this is a royalty name in my neck of the woods up here in Tala, Choctaw, Winston, Oktibbeha, this area. But Jolyn Gant, Jared's a guy that's known far and wide.
Yeah, and you look at his numbers, 795 winning percentage, and I believe that's the highest winning percentage of any coach in this top 10 based on what I was looking at. He averaged over 25 years, guys, 2.4 losses a year. I mean, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. You look at the 13 10-win seasons, 25 years, he had 23 winning seasons, really a model of consistency, and he did it at 2 schools. You don't really see that. It's very seldom it's 1 or even 2 schools, but yeah, 795, awfully strong, 237 wins just against 61 losses.
Yeah, Davis, your thoughts?
I tell you, and I hate to say this, no disrespect to Coach Gant and his family and the entire Ware community, but Ware is, due to the consolidation of schools, unfortunately, Ware is easy to forget these days. And I'm glad that he made this list because of everything that he accomplished. As Schatz was saying, 24 years at the school. My opinion, he needs to be higher up the list. I think he's more toward he comes in at 8. I've got him more up toward 5 because not only Coach Gant, what he did at Ware, it's also the people that he had that he helped produce. What I loved about him is his motto was, for any young coach out there that's getting started and want to be successful, his motto was keep it simple and play with maximum effort. If you can do that, and he proved that you can win, because that's a country bumpkin area up there in Attala County, way up Choctaw County, all up there that you could know. But somehow or another, he was able to take those kids and get the most out of them. Somebody else he got a lot out of, one of my favorite coaches, Junior Graham. Junior Graham coached with him at Ware, a 200-win coach in our state, so somebody that learned from Coach Gant. And did you boys know that Roy Oswalt, yes, the Roy Oswalt, played football at Ware for Coach Gant?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, he has a big footprint of what he's done. Like you talked about the 5 state titles. I mean, my argument on this is he should be closer to 5 or something like that, but very worthy to be on the list.
There's another coach on our list that's from Choctaw County as well we might get to. But you were talking about Coach Junior Graham. I know Junior Graham very well. Coaches right here in Attala County. He's here at Ethel. And he coached for Coach Gant all those years. And, having one of those countdown to kickoff interviews like we do, I asked him recently, I said, is there any Joe Gant stories you could tell, on the air without us getting in trouble, And so he gave me a good one, and I'm going to play it for you. Hopefully it comes out well here. And this is Coach Junior Graham and his favorite story about Jolyn Gant.
But we were playing Sebastopol. This sticks out. We were playing Sebastopol one year, and we were playing down at Sebastopol, and we were ahead at halftime, but we were not dominating the ball game like we felt like we were capable of. Coming off the field, Coach Gant said, I'm going to get their attention. And we dressed in this little old dressing room right there, and there was a box that was set over in the corner while we were getting dressed. Nobody looked in the box. It was just an old cardboard box. And he's going around, and he's talking to the guys, and he starts out low, and his voice is starting to raise, and he's fussing, and all of a sudden he just turned around and he kicks that box. In that box was a couple of 45-pound plates from the weight room, and that box didn't move, and he hit his old toe, boy, and he bit it. The kids wanted to laugh, but they couldn't laugh because they knew the moment was. And we go outside, he grabs me by the shoulder. He said, I'll tell you what, Junior, said, I think I just broke my toe. Well, he didn't break his toe, but it was a funny story. You had to see it to appreciate it more, but if you saw those kids' faces, they had enough respect for him, even in that funny moment, that nobody dared to laugh.
I don't think there's anything else we need to say about
right.
that. I mean, that is an all-time.
We've all done something like that as well. That's the problem.
You can imagine.
And people have laughed. People have laughed at me.
Sure. You can imagine those kids in there like this. Don't want to laugh at Coach Joe. And so, yeah, that was a great story from Junior Graham there. But Jolyn Gant, one of the all-time greats, number 8 on our list. We'll keep it rolling right along here, as I think we went a little too far. There we go. First up, we'll talk to you about the Mississippi Department of Transportation. If you're going to the big game, you download the MDOT Traffic app to check real-time traffic information, road conditions, and live camera feeds for major highways and roads across Mississippi. Very important today, given with the tropical storm that's come through down South Mississippi. Lots of rain. MDOT app and their website, very, very important if you're going to be traveling. So make sure you check that out. But coming up next on our list, number 7 is Lance Pogue, coaching for a long time. His all-time record is 253 and 77. It stops at Winona, Eupora, South Panola, Jackson Academy, Heritage Academy, and Columbia. 5 state titles, 11 district titles, 23 winning seasons, 16 10-win seasons, 2 with the MAIS, just 2 losing seasons, 22 playoff appearances, 47 and 17 record. And Jared Pogue, Lance Pogue's one that, he took over there at South Panola and just kind of kept it rolling.
Yeah, I mean, it was really on the back end of that. We're the greatest dynasty in high school football. I know, it's people can say, well, it's easy to pick that up from Ricky Woods and run with it, but no, he did it at a very high level, and this is no shot at South Panola, but look what's happened since he left. It just hasn't been the same South Panola. But 2010 national champion. I know things. People are going to say, well, what happened at Brandon? And if that's something for people to discuss another day. We're just talking about the numbers that we put in the hopper and it spit out. But yeah, I mean this man has won everywhere he's been. He's won even at the MAIS. And you look at the playoff record. That's what's most impressive. 47 and 17, 73%. That is awfully good.
Yeah, Davis, your thoughts on Coach Pogue?
Yeah, and I mean, he deserves to be on this list. There's really nothing else you can say about it. I mean, South Panola, you go from 2007 to 2016, he averaged 13 wins a season. And, the national title, ever how that became a national, ever how he got crowned national title or whatever it was, he won at South Panola. And as Shot said, they haven't been the same since he's been gone. No disrespect to any of the coaches there that's been there after him. It's just they haven't been the same. And then went to Jackson Academy, did very well in 2020. Actually, for 2 years, he won 18 games over 2 years at Jackson Academy, and went to Heritage and won 10 games. And then went back in 2024 to Columbia after Bilderback left, and he won 8 games his first year there. And the Brandon deal, it happened, And sometimes a place that you think is going to be a good fit just isn't a good fit, and that's all that happened to Coach. But looking back, I don't know if he would have went there if he would have known how things were going to shake out. But that is what it is. But he's a great coach, and you can't deny the titles that he won, the impact that he had in Batesville, and how he really brought Mississippi high school football back in that era. He made it nationally known with South Panola with those teams. So I like Lance Pogue here in the spot.
Yeah, at number 7, and he got, that's a who's who of places right there. Winona's good programs. Eupora, South Panola, Jackson Academy, Heritage Academy, Columbia, all just top-notch programs that he's been a part of. So Lance Pogue, number 7 on our list. And up next, we want to tell you about Environment Masters, our studio sponsor. Family-owned HVAC and plumbing company serving Mississippi for more than 60 years, offering hassle-free plumbing and AC service, 24/7 emergency HVAC support, and energy-efficient solutions. You can visit them at environmentmasters.com. We know Shots' Environment Masters studio is in Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't know what's going on with my thing here. There's a button that I accidentally pressed that gave me my house ain't nowhere near this nice, y'all.
Executive
Just so you know. Jared has spent the night here in the podcast studio. He knows that it's not.
You did some work over the off season, Brooke. I'm really impressed.
Don't know what's going on. One of those buttons that got pressed on a thing, and this is like when people do like the Microsoft Teams, and they want people to think they're in the office, but they're really not in the office. This is what you do. So. Don't know.
You should be on one of those home makeover shows. There's one locally. I think it's down in Laurel. They take the older houses and man, that's
look at those like throw pillows. There's not a throw pillow in my house anywhere. where
No.
there's like one pillow on my main bed. I don't need this many pillows, but yeah, just so you know,
Nice.
my house ain't this nice. But Brandon Davis always has a great Environment Master studio as well. So he's got the helmets in the background and stuff like that.
Yeah. Appreciate that. On the whiteboard, we'll get back to the whiteboard as the season goes along, but I didn't want to put anything up too controversial for us to fight over now, because we were going to fight over probably these coaches.
Fight over the coaches.
With America being 250 years old, I love America and I love football, and the best way to play football is with the fullback. So on my whiteboard tonight, as you can see, make the fullback great again.
We love fullbacks, man.
People that run the air raid, you're not American. I love you, but bring a fullback into your game, and you're going to have much more success. So
I agree.
Appreciate Environment Masters. Yeah, I mean, come on now, run the football.
We got a good fullback.
Football.
We got a good fullback right here in Kosciuszko. Going to be a senior.
Yeah, you do.
This year. He's a good one. But we'll move on to our next coach, and it is Bobby Hall. That is a household name. I really don't even have to say much, but coach for 34 years, places like Raleigh, Louisville, Amory, Wayne County, Madison Central, Biloxi, Philadelphia, all-time record 319 wins to 111 losses, 4 state championships, 18 district titles, 28 winning seasons. How about 17 10-win seasons, only 3 losing seasons, 24 playoff appearances, and his playoff record was 46-20. Once again, Shots, you're our Madison Central guy. I figure you know all things Bobby Hall.
Well, yeah, when I was a young buck, I got to do sideline to start out under Ben Ingram on the radio, and Bobby Hall was my interview for halftime and some post games. And man, he kept me on my toes. You knew what you were going to get, and it was going to be wild, but you had no idea what was coming. He was a quote machine. I would say Bobby is easily the most polarizing figure out of these top 10 coaches. And that's what I loved about him, man. You know, he's the kind of guy that, you know, he'd whip your butt on the field, but he would want to run to a microphone for, you know, the TV reporters or the radio folks and let everybody know about it. And I loved it. I loved that kind of ball. He was confident. He backed it up. And you look at his numbers. I mean, those 300-plus wins, that is the 6th best all-time, 18-time district champion, most of anyone solely just in the MHSA that coached in the MHSA. But you know, what I'll remember most about watching Bobby's teams is I think he was the best at adapting his offenses to his personnel. I thought he was incredible. I mean, if he had a guy that could throw it, they were going to throw it. Now, don't get me wrong. He loved the ground game. But if, let's say, you had a quarterback that couldn't push it down the field, they were going Maryland I. They were running veer in the option, and they ran the prettiest counter play you've ever seen off of that. It was like art. And I just remember watching his offenses and thinking, man, this is a beautiful thing. But, yeah, Bobby definitely, we knew he was going to get in here, and that's where the numbers put him. But, yeah, just an incredible career, and he won everywhere he went.
Yeah, Davis, your thoughts on Coach Bobby Hall?
Oh, beautiful Bobby. I'm going to tell you. Polarizing is a great word for him. I always enjoyed listening to his interviews and just see his expressions and how he interacted on the sideline. He was one of the few coaches that I can remember that wore a tie on the sidelines. And I don't know if he did that his entire career, but I just remember him seeing that.
Jack Del Rio style.
Well, he did that. Not to interrupt you, but I think there's a story about that. I remember hearing an interview I think Bobby gave to one of our great sports writers in the state, and he said that, you know, I think he had gotten off to a rough start at Louisville, so he decided to wear a tie, and I think it was against West Point, and they went out there and won the ball game, and I think they ended up winning the championship that year, and he said, you know, it stuck with him. So, Davis, he would be proud of you. I'm just going to say that.
I know. And I would be proud if Coach Bobby Hall was proud of me, I tell you, but he put Amory on the map. I mean, he's been great everywhere he's been, but his second stint in Amory from 93 to 99, that was a powerhouse football program in Northeast Mississippi. And he came to Madison Central and did some good things there. People probably would say that he could have done a little bit more. He never won a title at Madison Central, surprisingly. His titles came when he was before he got there at Amory, and he got one at Louisville as well. But just an awesome coach, and I've really enjoyed watching him coach over the years. And he's had a big impact. Of course, his son Will, whose coach is now down at Tulane. Who's Bobby was the coach of the Tupelo Fire Ants, if I'm not mistaken, the indoor football, and that was so much fun. remember in college watching some indoor football. But also he had a big impact on John Perry. John Perry that was at Pearl, and then now doing wonderful things up in Nixon, Missouri with that program. And Bobby's footprint and Bobby's thumbprints are all over the state when it comes to high school football. So congratulations to Coach Hall.
Yeah, Brad Peterson, one of those in that coaching tree. Yeah, some really good guys in there. And I know we're missing some, but really a long legacy.
Yeah, I was going to say, Coach Perry just wrote a book. Coach Perry got a book out. I talked to him last week. He coached in Kosciuszko for a little bit, so I talked to Coach a little bit last week. But the way I talked about Jolynn Gant today and being royalty in this area, that's how Bobby Hall is up in Amory. You talk to the folks up there in Monroe County, and that's the guy, Bobby Hall, up in that neck of the woods. But we'll keep it rocking and rolling right along as we will talk to you about the Oxford Falls and Sizemore Catering, one of our favorite partners. From finishing sauces and marinades to salad dressings and more, the Oxford Falls brings Mississippi flavor straight to your kitchen. You can order online at theoxfordfalls.com and enjoy free shipping on orders over $100. I bet Brandon Davis, he's got like a stack of Oxford Falls Sizemore Catering sauce somewhere. I bet he does.
Hey, Steve Sizemore was in Vicksburg, excuse me, at Kroger the other day. I went by and saw our friend and picked up some comeback salsa. Do yourself a favor, folks. It's fantastic.
That stuff is good.
It's great.
We'll keep rolling. And then there were 5. We might hit the most controversial spot right here when we get to Coach Hurst. Bill Hurst, the all-time winningest coach in the state of Mississippi. All-time record, 447 and 159, all in one place. Centerville Academy, 10 state championships, 22 district titles, 42 winning seasons. How about 23 10-win seasons? All to just 6 losing seasons, 38 playoff appearances, and 62 and 28 is his record. And if I'm not mistaken, this past year was his last year. He hung it up after then. I think didn't they win the championship this past season? Didn't I think they won another one, or at least they played for one. So yeah, this is the one that we thought he's number 5 and he's the all-time winningest coach. There might be some folks down in South Mississippi screaming at us right now, Jared.
Oh, I can hear them, and I'm in North Mississippi, and they're loud. And again, this is a formula. It's not perfect.
It's not our personal preference. It's a formula. It's numbers.
Yeah,
ones and zeros.
Brandon Davis's fault. I'll give you his address. He's doing a renovation like Breck Riley at his house right now, so you can make yourself at home. No, Bill Hurst, fantastic coach, and look, on top of the numbers, the numbers are insane. How about the loyalty, man? How about the loyalty in a day where everything's instant gratification, whatever you want to call it, transfer portal college, you could make a case there's transfer portal high school, and coaches, going to different places in their career. And there's nothing wrong with that. But do you think Bill Hurst loves Centerville Academy? I mean, 49 years, 447 wins later, 10 state championships. What an incredible resume. But yeah, the loyalty to me, I think that, and I know it's just about numbers and wins and championships, but the loyalty to me is like the first thing that strikes me when I look at Bill Hurst.
Yeah, and we talked about Gant and Bobby Hall being names around their respective hometowns or where they kind of made their name. Centerville, Bill Hurst is Centerville Academy. I mean, that's it. I mean, in that neck of the woods, it's him. He could run for mayor today and he'd be elected landslide. And so Davis, I mean, that's the, as Schott said, that's the kind of loyalty and the kind of thing that makes small town Mississippi football really great.
Yeah, it is. And I know he went out on top this year. They did win the title over Lee Academy. Got to coach his grandson, a kid by the last name of Sterling, is going to be at East Mississippi this year. A kid we talked about last year on the podcast here. And I know a joy for him to be able to coach his grandson and go out on top the way that he has. But people are probably going to argue and say that he doesn't belong at this point, that, he was there for nearly 50 years, but the quality of talent that the quality of opponents that he went up against is not going to be where some of these other guys are. Well, I get that, but you got the thing about him is that he took what he had and he won with it. It's not like at these smaller academies, and you coaches know this, and all you guys know this. It's not like you've got 60, 70, 80 kids that you can go grab. You may have a quarterback that's 5'4". You may have a nose guard that's 5'6", a $150, and you've got to win with that. And that's the type of stuff he did over the years. Now, he has coached some hosses on the offensive line. Will Arnold was a kid that he coached back in the day, went to LSU, won a national title, I believe, under Saban back in the day, back in the BCS era. I believe that'd been Saban. I may be wrong on that, but he has coached some very good talent over the years down there in Centerville. There's not much to do in Centerville. I passed through there going down to Baton Rouge and St. Francisville and all that, but very deserving. And it also says a lot. You talk about the loyalty shots. If you're a coach, if you can go somewhere where you can win and you have support and you're happy there, what more can you ask for? And it seemed like he had that. He was there. He was in a place that he loved. He had support. The community loves him. And he won 447 games, and he did it the right way. So congratulations to Coach Hurst. I do believe he deserves to be in the top 5.
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, it's controversial with that, but as you said at the top of the broadcast, Jared, you're weighting some of the MHSAA, MAIS, not to disparage the MAIS, because as you said, they have turned the corner recently. What was it? With this back in the day, you never would have thought an MAIS school would come and beat a MHSAA school. Happens all the time now. So
well,
it didn't happen until recently.
Yeah, and I think Davis, made a great counter argument to why are you handicapping them a little. And I say handicap, I mean just trying to make the numbers where they make sense over a long period of time. Davis makes a great counter argument and said, well, you don't have the numbers to choose from that you do at some of the other schools, but you can also say that for 1A, 2A, and the MHSA. But
that's right.
But no, I mean, this is not perfect, but it is a formula. We based a lot of it off of our greatest programs of all time from last year. And we did, we couldn't separate the coaches because a lot of them have coached at both. So there wasn't really, you would have to really be surgical in figuring out a formula for both the MAIS and MHSA, especially if they coached in both. But, that's kind of what we have. Tell us where we're wrong. It's all Davis's fault, and I'm sure we're wrong a lot of places, but hey, it's something for everybody to talk about as we are in the dog days of summer.
Yep. Yeah. This is a great start.
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to say is we like going on. We're wrapping up the College World Series this year more than others. You get the World Cup going on, which has been fun. I've enjoyed maybe watching the Europeans come here, enjoy America more than I have watching the World Cup. Like that one guy that was surprised about Waffle House, and the one girl that didn't know what ranch was. She was excited to get ranch. She's like, "We need this."
And Buc-ee's has been a hit. But we're still trying to figure out Buc-ee's, and then they come over and they're like, "What in the world is this?"
Yeah, for real. Buc-ee's is just a, I mean, it is what it is. It's a whole other world out there. But we'll keep rocking and rolling as we're into the top 5. Right now, we want to thank another one of our partners, the Mississippi Army National Guard. Mississippi Army National Guard is always ready, serving the state and nation with pride. You can discover how you can serve now with the Mississippi Army National Guard. And on into our number 4, another coach that's still coaching. It is Lance Mancuso, 1998 to 2026. And he's coached in a number of places, got 255 all-time wins. You're looking at Richton, Seminary, Poplarville, Bassfield, and then Jefferson Davis County, which is still Bassfield/Prentice combined. But 9 state titles, 14 district titles, 20 winning seasons. There were 16 10-win seasons, just 6 losing seasons, 23 playoff appearances, and your playoff record is 67-14. And this is one of the guys that, as I said, still coaching, Jared, and each and every year, JDC and the folks in that portion of the state, they can always expect to have a good program. Coach Mancuso's at the helm.
Yeah, and they're going to run the wing T, and I love it. Davis is talking about got to use a fullback. Look, let's get the wing T out there, man. That's about as American as it gets. in the year 250. Man, it's the championships that stand out. 9 championships, and he's done it in so many ways. Seminary, and then to go to Bassfield, start a dynasty there. And they're like, we want to consolidate, make you a bigger school. No problem. We'll take the wing tee to JDC, win a few more. 9 championships, that's the most of anyone in the MHSA all time. Most playoff wins of anyone ever in the MHSA. That may be for anybody. 67. When they get in there, they win. Highest playoff winning percentage ever at 83%. The numbers just speak for themselves. And to win it, you could say 3 different schools, and it basically would be that way because, Bassfield I know was a smaller school, but it's almost like what Justice did at Madison Central, to take 2 smaller schools and put them together. But, Mancuso is just a fantastic coach, and I love the way they play ball. Wing tee, smash mouth. They've been doing it the same way for years, and they're not going to get away from that.
Yeah, Davis, your thoughts on Coach Mancuso?
One of my favorites, and I know I've said that a lot, but I truly mean it. I love his style, how he coaches, but how he teaches the game. And because this is the wing tee. I mean, people think it's simple, but it's not. And the blocking schemes, the reads, the motions, everything of that nature. Being able to teach that to kids at that age, the way they do it is what's so impressive with him. And like you said, Bassfield, he had the dynasty at Bassfield. They merged Bassfield Prentice together. Prentice wasn't much of a program. They struggled, but was able to bring the kids in from Prentice as well, and they just continued to run and do great things at JDC. They've struggled the past couple of years, not to the level of what he wants. I think he'll get back to that, but he's won everywhere he's went. He was successful at Seminary. He went down to Poplarville in a place where it was tough to win back in those days. Didn't have the record that he wanted. He was 13-19, but he did have one 8-win season sandwiched in there. But the Bassfield JDC, what he's been able to do, and the coaches throughout the state talk about him too. I remember, Dan Brady, one of the great young coaches in the state. I think he's at Stringer. He won a state title at Bay Springs. He talks about the impact Mancuso's had on him. And then, just there's so many coaches down in that area that try to mimic what he does. And he teaches, and I don't know if he's still doing it, but they used to teach like a wing tee academy for people to come down and learn what they do. And just certainly a great man. I've enjoyed covering him these past few years, and I hope they're able to get it back on the winning way this coming season.
Yeah, and Coach Mancuso is one that we've tried to have on the state championships. When we do the ball games we like to talk to coaches and stuff. He and we've texted a few times. They'd be down in Hattiesburg, and we hadn't been able to link up. But that's one of the guys I definitely want to bring on a state championship. One weekend. I would say
Coach Mancuso. I would be surprised if he had a cell phone. He's probably got the old flip phone. He didn't like he's
one of the coaches that we might be talking about. Last time I talked, you didn't have a cell phone, so we'll keep it rocking and rolling. But Lance Mancuso is number 4 on our list, and so we'll get down to the top 3 after we tell you about Entergy Mississippi. Entergy, we power life. You can view live power outages, track affected areas, and get estimated restoration times using Entergy Mississippi's official outage map and mobile app. And we know those guys are probably out there right now. Got a lot of power outages with the tropical storms moving through and everything. And my hat's off to them. My dad worked for Entergy for 30 years. I know the type of work that it is. So as I said, my hat's off to those guys being out away from their family in rough conditions, trying to get the power back on. But let's roll on to number 3 on the list. Another one of those coaches is still plowing away. Marcus Boyles from right now he's at Petal, but made his name there at Meridian in Wayne County, Pearl, and Taylorsville. Got 316 all-time wins, 5 state championships, 15 district titles, 28 winning seasons, 18 10-win seasons, just 2 losing seasons. You got 29 playoff appearances and a playoff record of 57 and 24. And Jared, when we started talking about doing this top 10 list, this is a guy that we thought, he's going to be in the top 10 somewhere as Coach Boyles.
Yeah, Marcus Boyles, one that I would say, guys, when you talk to the coaching community no matter where they are in the state. I feel like he is one of the most respected of anyone. The coaches just, I've heard many of them say, I think he's one of the best to ever do it, if not the greatest. That's just some of the, admiration I've heard from guys around the state of Mississippi. Look at his coaching tree, just some guys off the top of my head. Toby Collins won a state championship at Madison Central. Ryan Ernest got a couple over. He got one down there in Collins. He's at Laurel now, but some guys that have that they've gotten the hardware as well, and from learning from Boyles. 18 10-win seasons, most of anyone on this list from the MHSA. That's an incredible number. That is not just consistency, that is achieving some big time accolades every year in and year out. I mean, that's such a big number for a guy that's only coached 31 years. I mean, that's incredible. Everybody I've talked to, Marcus Boyles is one of their favorites, and they really have a lot of admiration for him.
Yeah, Davis, your thoughts on Coach Boyles?
Yeah, I'd say if there was we always talk about who's your Mount Rushmore of this or that, Marcus Boyles is on it for Mississippi, for high school coaches, high school football coaches. And I'm more impressed, or been more impressed with the work that he did at Taylorsville and Wayne County. He had Jason Campbell and that team, that Taylorsville team that was just off the charts back in the mid-'90s, late to mid-'90s down in Taylorsville. And then did a stint in Pearl, went to Wayne County. He put Wayne County back on the map with over 100 wins. And he's been great at Petal. I mean, but it's been kind of quiet in two stints. He's won almost 100 games at Petal. But I think that for me, it's the work that he did at both Wayne County and Taylorsville. But a remarkable coach. Again, if there is a Mount Rushmore of high school coaches in the state, I think you have to consider him and put him on that as one of the candidates there.
Yeah, and you mentioned Taylorsville. That's a tradition-rich program. Is it tradition-rich because of Coach Boyles? Is that a question you have to ask? They've been winning, down there for a long time. But as you said, you had the coach, Jason Campbell there, and then obviously Pearl and Wayne County, Meridian, Petal. These are just like who's who of programs that are great programs to be at and to do what he's done and is still doing there at Petal is something else. But that's number 3 on our list. Let's keep it rolling. Thank another one of our partners, Farm Families of Mississippi. Mississippi needs farmers. You can find out more at farmfamiliesmississippi.org. Now here we go down to number 2. I think there's people turning in their head. Well, who's going to be number 2? Who's going to be number 1? Well, we'll jump right into it. Number 2, it's Ricky Woods. We already talked about Coach Pogue that took over for Coach Woods at South Panola, but Ricky Woods is the guy that kind of put South Panola onto that trajectory of being the university. When Ricky Woods was there, they became the University of South Panola, but he also coached at Starkville, and then right here in my neck of the woods, Ackerman right up the road, Eupora, Ethel, the Tigers right here in Talent County, and also at Lee. So his all-time record, 270-71. He's got 7 state championships, 15 district titles, 23 winning seasons. 16 of those were 10-win seasons. All of that in just 2 losing seasons. 22 playoff appearances. Playoff record is 45-15. And this is another one of those, Jared, that's just if you talk about Mount Rushmore, you got to talk about Ricky Woods.
There's no question. And he's done it at multiple levels, multiple states. I know we're talking Mississippi here, and that's what it's accumulated, and it's impressive enough. But if you go and look at his 33 years as a head coach, he was 335 to 84 losses. Incredible. Had 11 state title games he appeared in, winning 8 of those. And again, we're talking big picture. This is only accounting for Mississippi, which 7 state titles, guys, that puts him only behind Mancuso for second all time from the MHSA standpoint. Just one of the best coaches we've ever seen in this state. Everywhere he went, it was small program, big program. He won Panola, the greatest dynasty ever. Think about that in this state. He started that. And then he got a job offer to go somewhere else, and then Starkville, what he did there. This is definitely, we knew he was going to land on this list. I'm not surprised to see him at number 2. He was named the EA Sports National Coach of the Year in 2004. I mean, he was number 1 and all of America for that. 5 of his high school teams were nationally ranked. I mean, 5 of his teams were in the top 25. That's how good he was. It wasn't just being consistent. It was excelling when his teams took the field and played throughout the year.
I remember watching South Panola take on Hoover High School on ESPN. Had to be around 05, 06, something like that they played. But, yeah, he was the first one to kind of get those national games here and bring the national spotlight on Mississippi. Davis, your thoughts on Coach Woods?
He's my number one, and hands down, he's my number one. I think he's just a remarkable coach. Let me throw this nugget at you guys. From 1993 to 2006, I'm not a math guy, but that's a lot of years. Double-digit wins each and every year, double-digit wins. And then you look at what he did at South Panola from 2002 to 2006, 74-1. 74-1. Remarkable what he was able to do. And, I remember the one thing that I will remember about him is we played against them at Warren Central played against them back in 2016. We went up to Starkville when he was at Starkville, and they really were struggling being Starkville that year. Warren Central went in. We thought we were going to win that ball game. He had Willie Gay there that was his linebacker. They moved him to quarterback, and they ran at us with Willie Gay, student body right, student body left, up the middle. I think he probably ran about 40 or 50 times against us, and they beat us 35-28, upset us. And the way he's able to just take a game and turn it around and use what he has and win, he's remarkable at that. And then he's also been very impactful to Mike Fair that was at Grenada and now is back at South Panola. He mentored Mike, one of the championships that Grenada won. Ricky Woods was kind of a behind-the-scene offering advice to Mike, and Mike Fair is an awesome coach in his own right. But Ricky Wood is anywhere that he is near a football program, they're going to have success. And I would imagine with Mike Fair being back at South Panola, I would imagine Coach Woods is going to be around offering some advice when it's called for. But Ricky Woods, he's my number one guy.
And that's a pretty good, angel on your shoulder right there to have, would be Coach Woods, giving you some advice as a head coach. And as you mentioned, Jared, just we have Mississippi only, but what he did out of state combined makes him an all-time legend, an all-time great when it comes to just Mississippi coaching, but just coaching football, high school football in general. Well, that gets us down to number one. And we'll tell you about Mississippi Sports Medicine. This list is brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine, keeping athletes healthy, strong, and in the game across Mississippi. I got to say, hats off to Mississippi Sports Medicine. My niece just had ACL surgery. They took care of her, and she's kind of getting ready to back play softball at Ethel for her senior year. But they had her good to go. And so, we love the folks there at Mississippi Sports Medicine getting my niece back so she can get that senior year rolling. But number one, here it is. This is what we've been counting down to. Some folks out there are still like, wonder who it could be. Who is it? Well, here we go. Without further ado, that is Ricky Joe Black. Not Ricky Black. Y'all might know him as Ricky Black here in Kosciuszko, where he got his start. That's Ricky Joe. Ricky Joe Black, Kosciuszko, Tupelo, and Jackson Prep. 40 years, 75 to 2020. All-time record, 400. He held the lead until Coach Hurst bypassed him. Bill Hurst bypassed him. And then state championships, 13, 24 district titles, 4 conference championships back when they did that. Winning seasons, he has 38. 20 of them in the 38 winning seasons, 20 10-win MAIS seasons, 6 MHSAA 10-win seasons. How about that one? 0 on the losing season. That's good. That helps you in the mathematics there. 31 playoff appearances, and his playoff record is 42-18. And since he got his start right here in Kosciuszko, I'll tell you all about Coach Black. I can take this one. I'm telling you, we talked about Joe Gant being the name in Choctaw County. Coach Black is royalty in Kosciuszko. We were his first first coaching stop. You know, he's from Choctaw County. He's from right up the road. Went to school at Ackerman, went to Holmes Community College, and then he went back to coach at Ackerman. And when Coach Nestor from Ackerman got hired at Kosciuszko, he came over here, and Coach Nestor left, and then Ricky Joe got the head coaching job in 1975. Spent 5 years here, and I mean, just I think his last 3 years here. So it was 75, 76. So 77, 78, and 79, they lost one game. Between 77, 78, and 79, one game. And those 4 conference championships, I think all but I don't know, 3 of them are here in Kosciuszko in the Choctaw Conference back in the day. So, yeah, and he does that, goes to Tupelo, and then he gets out of high school coaching. He coached at Mississippi State. He coached with Jackie Sherrill at Mississippi State in those good Jackie Sherrill years, and then he went back to Jackson Prep. So, yeah, in my mind, I mean, when we said we started doing this, I was thinking Ricky Black's number one. Just one, kind of like what a few years last year we did we did the top 10 programs of all time. When we started, I was like, Louisville's number one. That's what I thought, and that's what it did. The numbers ended up showing that. Same thing here. I just thought Ricky Black's number one. So, Jared, your thoughts on Ricky Joe?
Ricky Joe, I mean, how fitting. Are we in Mississippi? You got to love it. I love that he won 400 games on the dot and said, I'm out.
Nice even number.
Yeah, after 40 years. Man, just look at this resume. 0 losing seasons. I like to start there. I mean, man, everybody has bad years. Maybe they have coaching turnover. Maybe it's a group of kids that, maybe they had injuries. Maybe it was a group of kids that they didn't pan out. 0 losing seasons in 40 years at any level of football is absolutely insane. And 84%. I want to round that up. Why are we at 835? Round that up. 84%. That is that's incredible. And he won in both, guys. He won in the MHSAA. He won in the MAIS. When Jackie Sherrill calls, during the state's best run, maybe ever, you go. And so these numbers speak for themselves. 42-18 in the playoffs, 70% of his games he won. 84% winning percentage to me is incredible at any level. And to do it at Kosciuszko, go to Tupelo in the MHSA, and then come back to Jackson Prep and start that dynasty. Just incredible.
Davis, your thoughts on Coach Black?
Yeah, he was my number 2, simply because of, I think, the quality of opponents that they played at Jackson Prep earlier in the 90s into the early 2000s. But no knock on him. Phenomenal coach. Won at Kosciuszko. You talked about it, Brett. Kosciuszko, Tupelo. He goes to the SEC. Then he goes to Jackson Prep and does great things. I may be mistaken. I may be wrong, which won't be the first or the last time this happens. I think he broke down the forbidden door, per se. Wasn't it Jackson Prep that played George County that kind of started the public school, private school playing against each other back in the late 90s, 2000, something along those lines? A visionary at everything that he does. He's won. He's been successful. And, 24 years at Prep, and he won 263 games. I mean, give the man his flowers. He would be on the Mount Rushmore as well if there was one.
And I got something fun for us here, since I knew Coach Black was going to be number one. And so I went and did some research, did some digging, and I found us some good old yearbook pictures. Look at that right there. Look at them shorts. Look at those legs for Coach Black right there. This is 1975. This is his first year as a head coach. This is straight out of the Kosciuszko yearbook. This is 1975. And if you don't know, I'll get my cursor right here. This is Coach Black. Look at that. Look at that hair, man. Me and Davis don't know anything about that, but that's that right there. And this is from the Mississippi Bowl. The Mississippi Bowl, back when we had bowl games, which is something that we still did, because I think that's a really fun thing that we could do with the kids.
Cool tradition, yeah.
Yeah. This is the Mississippi Bowl, 1977. Kosciuszko, St. Aloysius at Newell Field. We're down there in Belhaven, Newell Field. And they played there. The Clinton JCs put it on. Kosciuszko beats St. Aloysius. And Kosciuszko actually ends the season as the only undefeated team. But like I said, they didn't have state championships back then. So the AP anointed, I think it was Clinton, as the state champ that year, and not Kosciuszko. One of those things. If we were Alabama, if Kosciuszko was Alabama, we would just claim it anyway. So we could do that. And then right here, Ricky Joe was inducted into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame in 2019, and I got to go down there and talk to him. And you mentioned Roy Oswalt. He and Roy Oswalt went to the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame in the same year. They're both from Choctaw County. So that tells you a little something about the talent
That's
that comes
wild.
out of Choctaw County. A little bit more about these pictures while I have it. This right here, this is Coach Joe Wood. And you might know him as he coached one Marcus Dupree at Philadelphia High School. He coached for 3 years, a head coach just for 3 years, and he coached Marcus Dupree. Marcus, I think, sophomore, junior, and senior seasons. And so, yeah, there's that. And I couldn't do anything without talking about Coach Slater right here. He's a legend in Kosciuszko. He was a coach at Tipton Street. And I'll say this, Coach Black doesn't have a street named after him in Kosciuszko. Coach Slater does. That tells you how much respect they have for Coach Slater. But I have one more thing for Coach Black here. And you guys know, and a lot of the coaches watching this will know that you need a supportive someone behind you to be there for you when you're a coach, because you're gone a lot, you're on the road a lot. Well, Coach Black has one in Miss Linda. And this might be one of my favorite things about Coach Black, because he'll tell you that his entire career, Miss Linda never missed a game.
I mean, she's made every high school, every college game. And, you talk about health, you're talking about problems, you're talking about transportation. Even in college, when the university didn't supply transportation for the Ys, you would have to get her own transportation, whether that would be to lease a small plane or to rent the space on the plane to get there, or drive 7 or 8 or 10 hours to a game. So she has been very dedicated, very supportive in my career. And
so we had to give a little shout out to Miss Linda on that one. And as I referenced, Coach Black is the one I know, as far as I know, didn't have a cell phone. Last time I interviewed him, I had to call his office at Jackson Prep. They said he didn't have a cell phone, so make sure he's in his office when you call. So, yeah, that's our top 10 list of coaches, all-time coaches here in the state of Mississippi. As we said, the coaches list brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine. But, we want to give some love to C-Spire, our presenting sponsor as well. With C-Spire, you've got all the technology you need for connected living, fiber, fast home internet, ultra-secure Wi-Fi, nationwide 5G wireless. You can count on that. There's more to see at cspire.com. C-Spire, customer inspired. And as always, the Varsity Voices podcast is presented by C-Spire. But let's go one more step real quick, guys. There's some names that we wanted to give a shout out to in the honorable mentions, if you will. So we have our 11 through 25 here, and we won't go through them. They're all on the screen there. People could see. I won't insult their intelligence. We'll just talk to you, go to each one of you guys and ask, is there anything that stood out to you, Jared, about 11 through 25?
Yeah, Dodley. I was looking for him when the list came out. Put him at 14. Legendary career down at Picayune. How about Anthony Hart? 17. Great career he had, and all these guys. Tremendous coaches. Scott Pearson, and look, Herbert Davis is still coaching, man, and he's got a long way to go. He's going to climb this list. He is definitely going to move up the ranks. Who knows if we're old and gray and still around and people will have us, maybe we do another top 10 in another 30 or 40 years and maybe Herbert Davis is in there. But, this is a great list. Neville Barr, he's another one. I know Davis was talking about him. I like the numbers we put together. I thought we did a good job. I know people will let us know, man, this is terrible. You guys are, you're a bunch of clowns. That's fine. I mean, whatever. It's all Davis's fault. I've told y'all that, but I like the list. Congrats to all the coaches that were in here. I think it's a solid list, and I thought it was categorized right.
Shot's going to say when we're old and gray, as if we ain't gray right now, but okay.
Yeah, we're
Davis,
not already.
Davis, your thoughts on 11 through 25, and you have anybody that isn't, in the top 25 that you think maybe has a beef that they should be there?
Well, I was disappointed that Robert Morgan wasn't on this list here at 25.
Says the Viking.
So yes, I'm not biased at all. But anyway, it was good seeing Coach Lum right there at 21. Coach Wright was a longtime coach at Warren Central, also down at Chamberlain Hunt. Coach Robert Morgan actually coached on Coach Wright's staff off of Highway 27. So really neat to see Coach Wright getting recognized. Great to see Buddy Singleton on there. Really the father of D'Iberville football. I love D'Iberville. Strong tradition down there. The field is named after him down there in D'Iberville. Love seeing Coach Graham on there as well. Junior Graham, 200 win coach. Just great having him on there. And, very worthy, everyone that's on this list. Dodley, of course, and all he's done. David King still coaching down at Adams Christian and doing great work down there in Natchez with those guys. But, yeah, I think this is a pretty solid list. Would love to – there are some other coaches I would like to have seen if we would have had a longer view. But for top 25, this is a pretty good start.
Yeah. And for the record, Johnny Hill was one I was looking for. I know him and Big Bob got some connections. He was at 26.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
Johnny Hill.
Yeah. So I obviously – like that, boy, Junior Graham's in there. Junior got me the Ethel Tiger helmet from my collection. He's here in Italic County. And Ethel, very well represented. Jack Carlisle at number 25, he coached at Ethel. So we got Jack Carlisle, Junior Graham, Ricky Woods, all with Ethel connections there. Someone that I thought could have been on the list, Cotton Robertson's a big name, coached at Durant, 211 wins. He beat Coach Gant and Ware in the playoffs in 1993, and he coached at McAdams, Rolling Fork, Pearl, Morton. He was at a Mississippi, a Miss Al coach in 1995 when the Mississippi beat them 38-9. Is that the last time Mississippi beat Alabama, like coach in that game? But the also Coach Tyrone Shorter. Yeah. Not on the list from Louisville. That's one. That's
I believe he came in. Both of those guys were top 30, I believe. So they're right outside. And look, everybody's just say post them. What else do you have? So we might do that. We might.
Yeah. So these are just some of the ones that. And for Coach Shorter, he just hadn't been going long enough, right? If we, as you said, if we did this list in 10 years, Coach Shorter's probably going to be there, right? So. Yeah, but that's a look at our list. And if you want to go back right there and a look at the top 10, Ricky Black, Ricky Woods, Marcus Bowles, Lance Mancuso, Bill Hurst, Bobby Hall, Lance Pogue, Joe Lynn, Teddy Dice, and Mike Justice. That's the score, weighted scores and everything. They don't have 800 wins. That's not what that means. But that is their score out of our numbers, our ones and zeros, if you will. So that's our list of the top 10 Mississippi coaches in high school football history here in the Magnolia State. So, that's been fun. Jared and Brandon, anything else before we sign off until football season?
Man, it was fun. Enjoyed putting this list together. And if you don't like this list, then go look at our top 10 programs of all time, because it's kind of, summarized or scored the same way. We enjoyed doing this, man. We love this, and we continue to find ideas and really put numbers behind it and try to see what it spits out. And this was one of those projects that we took on, and it was a lot of fun. Thanks to Jake Wimberly. I hate he couldn't be here tonight. He did a great job of putting this together. But I'll tell you, man, really looking forward to the 2026 season, and we should have a preview show here in about a month of every classification, both MHSA and MAIS. Going to be a great year.
Your thoughts, Davis?
Yeah, and there's so many coaches, great coaches out there throughout the state, and we could spend hours talking about them. I mean, one that I think about is from back in the old school days, Houston Markham, that coached at Rosa Temple. Rosa Temple here in Vicksburg was a juggernaut back in the late 60s, early 70s. And Coach Markham only coached for 8 seasons at the high school level, but he had right at an 80% win rate. But when you look at the variables and everything it looked at, he just wasn't one that was picked up. But so many great coaches throughout the state that's made a big difference in a lot of young men and women's lives, and that adds so much value back to the community. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we have putting this together. And, we're going to have another great season. looking forward to talking more Warren Central football, ticking folks off from where, let's see, West Point, Grenada, Germantown. There's a whole list of people, a group that I'm going to be ticking off. But just such an honor to be able to bring this stuff to you each week. And we're going to have another great season with you.
Yeah, coaches, they're the kind that just make that impact. They're still coaches that I call coach, right, to this day. I mean, if I saw one today where I was here in Kosciuszko. He was a junior high football coach of mine. Now he's an alderman, and I saw him. I said, "Hey, coach." It's just the kind of impact that these people make on your lives. My tennis coach at Holmes, I still call him coach every time I see him. It's just the kind of impact these guys make on young men's lives, and the kind of impact that they have. And we like to shine a light on the ones that have done it for a long time. But yeah, excited about the season coming up, as Jared said, maybe about a month away from a preview. And this year you'll catch us live on, you can see it right there on the screen on Facebook, Twitch, X, and YouTube. I think we're still waiting to get live on TikTok as well. And so make sure you're subscribing to the podcast on whichever platform, or do it on all platforms, and whichever one you prefer. I know we have some folks tuning in tonight, and so that's our show for everyone included here at the Varsity Voices podcast. Jared Schatz, Brandon Davis, this is Breck Riley. You've been listening to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.